Hi everyone. These are some supplies that you're going to need to get on your own before we start making your heirloom boxes. The first things that I want you to get are some Novacon blackening patina, as well as a burnishing tool. You can get these at any stained glass supply store or online at glasssupplies.etsy.com. Then I need you to gather an assorted amount and various sizes of paint brushes, soft bristle. Then I need you to get some jewelry tools, your wire cutter and your bending tool. You can get them at Michael's, Joann's, Walmart if you don't have any. I'm sure all of you have them. You'll need some silver acrylic paint. I prefer Martha Stewart. It's thick and it's nice and I like the color the best. You'll need some E6000 glue in clear. You'll need some steel wool, extra fine. You can also get a bag of those for $1 at the Dollar Tree, or you can go to Walmart or Home Depot. These are the most inexpensive places to get it because you're going to use a lot of it probably. You'll need some Aleene's tacky glue in the gold container. You'll need some rubber surgical gloves. You can also get those at Walmart, Home Depot, Medical Supply, or Costco Business. They come in a huge box for $6, I believe. 200 of them. You use those a lot too. You're going to need a large flexible bowl for glittering. You can get that at the Dollar Tree. I get them all the time because they crack eventually, but I like that I can bend them and get my glitter back into a funnel or the container. Then you'll also need about an 8-inch plastic bowl that you're going to be pouring your blackening patina in. You don't want to pour your blackening patina in anything glass. You either want it to be plastic or paper. And I think I mentioned some cloths. If I didn't, you need some cotton cloths. You can buy a huge bag of them at Home Depot in the paint department for, I think, $6.99. All right, once you have all of these things, we can get started. Okay, we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to do is I want you to gather all your brass together. I've just put a few pieces here so you guys can see, but this is what we're going to be doing first. I'm going to take a foot, and what I'm going to do is I've taken my Novacon blackening liquid and I've poured a small amount of it down into the bowl, probably about 1/4 inch. You can go 1/2 inch if you like, but you don't need that much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an old paintbrush. This one's really old, it's going to break. And I'm just going to put it on. I don't want you to put it on the back, I only want you to put it on the front. Make sure you're wearing your gloves. And see how that just blackens up? I'm going to wipe it off really quickly with a cotton rag. Once I've wiped it off pretty thoroughly with the cotton rag, I'm going to take my rubbing alcohol. I'm going to put a little rubbing alcohol on a rag. You guys can use a clean rag. I'm just going to use the same to show you. And I'm going to go over that with the alcohol. Rub it in really well because this is going to take the oil out of the blackening. And just let it sit until it's dry. Now, once you've done all your brass pieces the same way, remember I don't want you to do the backs of your brass pieces, I only want you to do the front, because the blackening patina can make it difficult for your E6000 glue to adhere, and then you guys will just have a mess. We don't want that to happen. So, once that's done, if you want, you can take some fine steel wool, and if it's too black for you, and you can just go over it and take off some of the black, or you can leave it if you like it that way, but you always have that option using fine steel wool to just go over the top and it takes off as much black or as little black as you guys would like. So once you've done that to all your brass pieces, we're going to come back and we're going to glue on our rhinestone pieces. Alright, now we're going to start on our brass pieces. You guys should have blackened everything that you needed to blacken, and brought as much gold through as you desired using your steel wool. Some of you guys got some things that were already blackened. You can just take the steel wool to that if you want. So what we're going to do is, the first thing I'm going to start with is the crown, and I'm going to glue this to the base. This is a different base that you have, but that's irrelevant. It's just the base and the crown anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crown and I'm going to take the back of it, and I'm going to put a generous amount of glue, a nice bead line around, not completely the tip edge, but sorry, I might not have seen that. I'm going to go around, and then I'm going to put a decent amount in the bottom. I'm going to fill it up. Now this is what this is going to do, is it's going to fall basically down into your base. I don't know if you guys can see. There's a good amount in there. There's not tons, but there's a good amount. And you guys, everybody that's not new and listens to me go on every single month, I don't want you to use too little glue. I want you to let that sit for probably 2 to 3 minutes. For the video, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to place it on my base where I want it, like centered. And I'm just going to leave it there, face down. I'm going to leave it there for about 2 days. And what's going to happen is it's going to fall, the glue's going to fall down into the base, and it's still going to glue it. So just basically keep it like this for about 2 days. It's going to take a long time to finish these because that's the way my projects are. I'm so sorry. But just leave it alone. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our rhinestones. You guys got flowers. There was different ones. I'm just going to use blackened rhinestones now to show you. But I've taken one, and I'm going to put a bead-sized drop on the back of my rhinestone. I'm just going to drop it into my little base. It's going to go on my little box. I'm going to center it. If there's glue around it, that's alright. You can remove that later when it dries. I just want you to leave your little flowered rhinestone right in the center. Like I said, just leave it there for about 2 days. We're going to do the same thing on the corners. You guys should have 4 corners. Just went ahead and put that where I wanted it. And I want you to just put your rhinestone flowers right on your corners where you want them and let them sit for about 2 days. We'll come back to those later. Okay, we're ready for the next step, and we're going to put our legs on our wooden boxes. You're going to need your bending tool, a pencil with a fine tip, your E6000 glue, and of course your boxes. I'm showing you on the small box. The first thing that you guys are going to do is you're going to take your bending tool and you want it to fix your box. As you can see, I've already done this box. And you're going to make sure that your legs fit really nicely. They lay really nicely onto the wooden box. So this one has a curve, so I'm just going to curve it a little. I'm just going to keep curving it until it fits. This one, obviously, one side is a little more curvy. You decide where you want to place them on your box. You can measure. I just eyeballed it. Kind of went from the center of the box down. And then I just kind of eyeballed them and sat them where I wanted them. Once I did that, I placed them there onto the box and I held on to them as such. I held on to them and I took my pencil when I was holding on to them and I drew around them so I would know where to place them once I had my glue. There's a little tiny line where you can see the difference in the wood. I wanted the little droplet part here on the leg. I let that sit right on the top on both, so I knew it was level. And I drew around it, and then I took them off, and I measured each one before I did it and drew around each one. And then once that was done, I went to each piece and I put a decent amount of glue more towards the center. I didn't go too close to the edge. And you don't want to go all the way to the bottom of the leg. Just go about a ½ inch down because the leg is going to be exposed and it won't be glued to anything. And I let that sit for about 5 minutes before I placed it on onto the box. And what I did was I only did 2 legs at a time, and I waited about 3 hours between so that it was adhered pretty well where it wouldn't come off. So when I adhered the first 2, I laid them in the drawing where I knew I wanted them, and I just laid them down and pressed them on carefully. And once they were both placed on there, I just laid the box down like this. I let it sit for about 3 to 6 hours. And then I turned the box over and I applied the last 2. And I let that sit. And I let that sit for 2 days because I wanted them to be really strong. I don't want them to come off or bend or break. So once you do that on both of your boxes, placing your legs on, like I said, you let them sit for about 2 days. And when we come back to that, a lot of people do them on over 2 weekends. When I come back to that, the next thing we're going to do is our tinned tape around the top rim.